What's up guys, the Snowman here, and today I've got a tennis informational video all about how to find the perfect tennis racket for you. It's the holiday season, maybe you're in the business for a brand new tennis racket. I just went through this process myself, so I thought it'd be fun to share some important things to keep in mind when racket shopping. These are all the different variables and characteristics to consider as you look for that ideal racket. And different playing styles equals different ideal rackets. Maybe you want to hit line, drive, forehand. Perhaps you want a racket that'll help give you a nice soft touch at the net, or maybe you just want to lob the ball over your older brother as he charges into the net like a bull. That's my personal favorite. When it comes to racket shopping though, there's a plethora of methods. Let's start off by talking brands, then we'll get into some specific variables. So many different options to choose from. I definitely begin with the big three of Wilson, Babolat, and Head. Wilson, maybe the most popular racket manufacturer with their Clash, Blade, Ultra, and Pro Staff models. Some very balanced rackets for all court players. Babolat's another top brand, relatively pricey, but geared towards high-level players with their three main lines: Pure Arrow, Pure Drive, and Pure Strike, all great for heavy topspin players. You also can't go wrong with Head, some very versatile rackets in their lineup, 5 different options with their Instinct, Gravity, Speed, Radical, and Extreme. 4 other brands I would consider are Yonex, Technifiber, Prince, and Dunlop. Perhaps more important than the brand though is your skill level and what feels comfortable for you. If you're a beginner, you'll want a racket that helps you develop your technique and strokes, probably a racket with a larger head size that's a little more forgiving. If you're an intermediate player like myself, you might want a racket that can provide you additional power without sacrificing control. And if you're advanced, you'll probably want a more professional feeling racket that helps you emphasize and build upon the strengths of your game. Most brands have racket models that are specifically geared towards the recreational player or beginner, the intermediate or tweener rackets as they're called, as well as the more serious advanced players. So skill level is a super important place to start. There's also a long list of variables that affect certain attributes like the power, control, or feel of your racket. Number 1 is the racket head size. The average head size somewhere between 96 and 100 square inches. Anything more than that is considered a larger head size, and larger head sizes are great for beginners and intermediate players because they give you a larger sweet spot with extra power. On the other hand, smaller head sizes are better for advanced players who are seeking supreme control. The larger the head size, the more power. The smaller the head size, the more control. Along with the racket head size is number 2, the string pattern. Now, the average string pattern is 16 times 19, meaning 16 main strings go down the racket vertically and 19 cross strings run across the racket head horizontally. If you prefer a racket that gives you more power and spin, go with the 16 by 18, which is considered an open string pattern. If you prefer a racket with more control, go with the 16 by 20, which is considered a closed string pattern. So the higher number of strings equates to more control, whereas less strings equals more power and spin. The third variable is the string tension. The average string tension is somewhere between 50 and 55 pounds. Anything above that is considered high string tension, and anything 50 and lower is low string tension. Low string tension tends to give you more power because it creates more of a trampoline effect on your racket head. Also provides you more spin, feel, and durability for the strings. Higher string tension then gives you more control. However, you lose some power and spin as the strings lose their tension. Also, natural gut strings tend to be better for power and comfort, but monofilament material better for control and durability. Number 4 is your racket weight. Generally speaking, you want your racket to be as heavy as possible while still maintaining a comfortable and free swing. A heavy racket is more powerful, more stable, and transmits less shock than a lighter racket. It can more easily win the battle at contact when the string bed collides with the ball. A lighter racket though is more maneuverable, thus making it easier for players to position the racket and generate lots of spin. Remember, you can always add weight to your racket, but very difficult to reduce the weight. Going along with the weight is the balance of the racket. Tennis rackets are either head light, head heavy, or evenly balanced. Most traditional rackets are head light, meaning most of the weight is in the handle of the racket, not the head. This gives you more maneuverability. Head heavy rackets give you a bit more power as more weight is allocated in the head of the racket. A few more variables. Number 6 is the racket length. The most common length is 27 inches, and the maximum racket allowed in professional tennis is 29 inches. So the longer the racket, the more reach and power you'll have, but at the expense of maneuverability. Length is all about playing style, as a strong server and baseline player will likely benefit more from a longer racket compared to a net player. Number 7 is frame stiffness. We measure frame stiffness with the RA method, which analyzes how flexible a racket is when a static force is applied on one point of the racket. 55 to 60 is low stiffness, 61 to 65 is medium, and 66 to 75 is very stiff. Generally speaking, the stiffer the racket, the more power; the softer the racket, the more control and comfort. A similar trait to frame stiffness is the beam thickness. The thicker the beam is, the more power you have. The thinner, more flexible beam is easier to control. And the last variable I want to mention is grip size. It's imperative that you buy a racket with the proper grip size for you. The most common grip size is 4 3/8, but if you need help measuring your grip size, please take a look at my how to measure grip size video. If all these characteristics still don't make sense to you, some brands like Head have helpful charts to help you too. This is Head's Control Power Index chart. It lists all of their different racket lines with each individual model as well, and assigns it a CPI value. The higher the number, the more power; the lower the number, the more control. I really like this because it's a convenient way to help me visualize these different aspects. And there's many different ways to go about racket shopping, but remember, the most important thing is that you get a racket that feels comfortable for you. So test it out, make sure the grip feels right in your hand, and as you gain more experience and try out different brands and more rackets, you'll get a more precise idea of your ideal tennis racket. All right, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you found this video informational and helpful. Hopefully you feel ready to start this journey of finding the perfect tennis racket for you. But if you have any other questions, please leave a comment, subscribe to the Snowman Sports Media for more tennis content, and I'll be back soon. Cheers!